I actually thought my mission today was to talk about communication, so I thought if it was about kids, it'd be easy for me because I got 4 of them, and we're constantly communicating about the wrong things. I've been an entrepreneur since 14. Bindi was being nice to me. I'd describe it as a journey of bad, good, and ugly. I've got a lot wrong. I still get lots wrong, but the good part is I love what I do. And if anybody's thinking of being an entrepreneur, I would recommend that you pursue something that you're very passionate about, because you're going to be taking out, we were having a conversation earlier, on knives at your back and your front every morning as you get out of bed, and you have to go and do your job, so you have to love it. So communication, it wasn't till a few days ago that I came up with what I was going to talk about, because you're going to hear from Mo shortly, who is a branding expert and built the Kabuni brand. So I thought, who's invited me to talk about communication when I have to pitch against Mo? But what I thought of was, what's your medium to communicate? I, 11 years ago, was doing my wedding speech, which was terrible. It was 3 pages, and I read line by line, and very few people laughed. And it was the day I kind of said, shit, I'm not good at this. I need to change it. So my medium is video, and I do it unscripted. And I'm going to give you a couple of hacks today, because I think they're relevant if you're going to leverage video. And I think, Ben, am I right? You're the video expert in here. So there's 2 hacks. One hack that I always use on LinkedIn. If I want to get in front of somebody and get my message to them, I will shoot a quick video on YouTube, private it, give it access to when I provide the link. And if I'm sending an email or just an email to a stranger, my subject line is a personal video for you, and put the name. And I get an 80–90% open rate. And I have got in front of some very experienced individuals in different verticals. And there is a Forbes article that's written about me that LinkedIn saved my startup, because I raised literally $10 million through a LinkedIn email connection. The second one, if video is your medium of communication, is I use an app recently called BombBomb, literally BombBomb, which is a easy-to-use app, download free, open your account online, and you can send personalized video messages right from your phone to your team, to your colleagues, to your partners, to a new potential customer. But video is the medium that I would recommend that you get familiar with, whether you're working, whether you're thinking of a startup, or whatever industry that you're in, because you will generate better conversion rates from any way that you want to communicate. And I use it all the time. I'm not sure whether we've got time to show the AGM video. We don't have to. So, yeah, so I'm going to show you an example. I recently had my AGM in Australia. That's a story. There is a slide. Is it in there? Does it play? Oh, you don't have to. If you want to watch the video, let me know, and I will email it to you. Thank you very much.
You get Q&A. So I think that was actually really kind of like, I don't know what the right word is, but to be honest, I think that this is a great opportunity to ask Neil some amazing questions, because I've gotten to know Neil over the last, I don't know, a couple months, I guess. And I will be honest, like, he has built an incredible omni-channel business. So if there's anyone here that's looking at building an omni-channel business or an omni-channel startup, this fellow has been through incredible ups and downs. And I've got to say, I keyed in on talking at the beginning about customer discovery. This guy is, like, I think one of the kings of customer discovery from what I can tell, and also champions that whole process. I mean, I just got an email from him last week saying, yeah, we're testing something new at Kabuni. Can you send this out to some of your friends who are homeowners? And it had it all laid out for me, all that kind of stuff. Like, so if anybody had, I would really encourage people who have questions. This guy has some amazing experience, knowledge, and things to say. So, you know, that was really kind of like, I'm Neil and this is what I've done, but you know, there's a lot more to this guy, so do ask some amazing questions, please.
Yeah. Yeah, so Kabuni is a marketplace for interior designers and makers, and we connect them to a customer who's looking to beautify their home. So omnichannel for me, for anybody that doesn't know, omnichannel is an offline-online business. And what creates an omnichannel experience is you should be able to replicate what you do on your phone, on your desktop at home, and when you walk into a store. And a great brand that I would always look at for kind of recognition or learning is Apple. Apple is a true omni-channel business, whether you go in their store or shop online. So we've really created a marketplace. We've got users in 50 countries, 921 cities. We've been going 18 months, mainly North America, but in Vancouver, in Cole Harbour, we've opened up our version of an Apple store, and I would say that it makes an Apple store look out of date. One of the things I shared earlier on with somebody, it's got something called a dream room in there, and anybody who's looking to renovate, design their home, it's like bringing your Pinterest board to life with a holographic reality. And you literally stand in a room, you see a real-life holographic piece of furniture, and you swipe it to any wall, and you start to kind of create your Pinterest board in real life. So yeah.
I just toured it a couple weeks ago, and I think Hindi was there today, and it's incredible. And there's a cafe there, and there's going to be a retail store. And
Yeah, I call it, there's 4 pillars to Kabuni in a house. One is our community can learn, shop, connect, and work. It's 1378 West Pender, and I didn't give a plug earlier on, but I'll take the opportunity now. We have our social on Thursday night between 5 and 8, and our entire community comes there. We spotlight makers. We're actually launching our retail section there, but it's got a coffee shop, it's free wine, beer, booze, and it's a pretty great event once a month. Specifically in LinkedIn. If you download BombBomb as an app, you can quickly upload any videos or create videos with your phone. I think the intrigueness of a video that's personalized captures somebody's urge to press play. I've never really had a problem and managed to get hold of pretty much anyone that I want to via video.
Any other questions out there? Neil, I have a question for you. When we were originally discussing, you told me about some stories about pivoting. And I don't know if anybody here has experience with pivoting, but I guarantee you at some point you probably will if you're getting involved in a startup. Can you maybe tell us about some of the struggles and how you overcame those pivots? Because pivots can be hard. Can you tell us kind of how you got through that?
Yeah, sure. Pivots are never easy, especially if you've got shareholders. But the book I would recommend is The Lean Startup. Any hands of anybody that's read that book? Right. So I'd recommend everybody to read that book. And for me, quickly telling a story, Kabuni emerged from a pivot. It was a company that we'd built with 20,000 freemium users. It was going to be a real estate player, a community around realtors, and we were charging $500 a month. And the company started in Winnipeg, and we were signing up lots of realtors and plumbers and financial advisors. But at month 6, we were losing. For one customer we were gaining, we were losing. So I pretty much quickly realized that from a profit and loss perspective, I could never scale this company. So we pivoted. And we pivoted by following the lean methodology, where I got somebody in the industry that had won an award in interior design because I knew nothing about interior design. We literally then got 20, 30 designers in a room, half the size of this. I bought cheap wine and cheese, beer and cheese, and I spent hours trying to learn exactly what an interior designer did in real life. And literally, we had sticky notes, ideas. 2 weeks later, I came back with a video. So there comes video again, and I created the product that I hadn't really created, but made an animated video of what that would be. Hands in the room went up, we'd buy that. I asked them to put how much would they pay for it in a piece of paper, and we got an average. And ever since that day, we still make small pivots in our business. And my COO, Franz, who's recently started, he's probably even more familiar with the lean startup. He calls them projects, and we have 2-week projects, no different to an agile development team. You call them sprints from a development perspective. And those projects are a hypothesis. What is the data before we start? What are we going to expect the data to do after we start? We run the project for 2 weeks, and we give it 2 weeks of validation, and we report the entire process to the entire company. Usually development teams do just some of that. We're actually doing it as an entire company, and then constantly validating our decisions or our hypotheses to really build the business and move it forward. And you've got to have an engine. You've got to be making those decisions based on a business engine of what are you driving. Can't just be a number of ideas that you have. I mean, if you're starting out at ideation stage, for sure, but once you're in a business, I would recommend that you read the Lean Startup, you create your pivots, and you stay true to your data. I've learned that the hard way, so it sounds a lot easy me saying it here today to you, but if I was to start a new business today, I would get my entire team reading the Lean Startup. And by the way, I did exactly that. 30 staff, I bought them the book, I made a book club, and they had to read it in 30 days. And that was only literally 2 months ago.
Any questions based off of that? Okay, so I'm going to ask the last question. This is one that burns for me all the time, and is a challenge for myself. So you're a father of 4. So you've got me beat by 1. I've got 3 boys, so it's insanity at home. So I know most of the young audience is younger, but for those of us who are going to have families, or it's still the same question of how do you balance this perceived work-life balance, or is there a such thing? In my mind, the answer is no, it's work-life integration, but I'm not going to see my kids and family until Saturday, actually, personally, but yeah, I'm just wondering, how do you contend with that? What's some of the things that you do?
I think no matter what system you actually use eventually, you'll always wake up with an ache emotionally when you're away. But I travel probably 100 days, 120 days I have in the last 12 months, and I have 4 kids, 2 girls 9, daughter 8, son 6. And I'd say communication is the first thing. You have to share your experience with your family. You have to tell them what you're going through and why you're doing what you're doing. And for me, the why is bigger than the money that I'd make. We want to donate to homeless issues every time someone has a transaction. And for me, I'm looking at my kids and I have an opportunity to create a legacy. So the sacrifice is never worth it, but that's how you justify it from my perspective. So over-communicate what you're doing while you're doing it. And the second one is, which I do a lot of, is create magical experiences. They don't have to be expensive. So I'll give you an example. This weekend, my 3 daughters did the Grice Ground. It was closed, but they took the hard route and laughed at me because it took me longer a week ago doing the shorter route. And I took my kids to the cinema, but in the evening I had a cooking contest where my 3 daughters competed, and one of them won a prize. Now you might think, why? But for me, that's creating a rich weekend of experiences. So when I am available, I am committed. I'll over-communicate what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and I'll make sure I create little magical experiences that they can't forget.